All right, good evening, everybody, and I'm going to call to order our meeting, and let's see, I need a roll call.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Dittrich.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer. Here. Councilmember Sherburne.
Here.
Councilmember Gray.
Here.
Okay, first item is I need approval of the agenda.
I move for approval of the agenda as presented.
I'll second that. Any questions or comments or changes? Mary Ann?
Yes.
Linda? Yes. Brian?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Joe?
Yes.
All right. It is still 5 o'clock and I'm going to open the public hearing for the proposed property tax levy for fiscal year 2026. And Tim, I'm going to let you kind of give a oversight of it to everybody before we open, or before anybody speaks.
All right, so this is the first part of our adoption process for a public hearing or for our budget. We have a public hearing right now today. We're talking about the proposed levy rate. The only thing we can do tonight on this is actually take no action. We just have a public hearing on proposed levy. Proposed levy is $15.35, blah, 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 4/10 after that. Last year's public hearing or public levy rate was $15.55. So the levy rate is decreasing 10 cents. We are estimating an impact of about $56,000 in new general fund dollars based on this levy rate. Now, I'm open to answer any questions anybody may have.
All right, so if you would, it's public hearing now, so if you have anything you'd like to say, we just ask that you come to the podium to speak.
All right. So if the levy decreases, then our taxes should go down, right?
It really depends upon what happens with the residential rollback. Because the residential rollback did actually go up this year. So instead of being taxed on 45% of the value of the home, they're being taxed on 46% of the value of the home. That is set by the state. We have no control over what the levy rate is on that. So if your value went up for any reason, if you did any sort of improvements to your home, or your value went up, otherwise your value should have stayed the same from the previous year, because this was not an adjustment year where the house values changed. So there is potential now. And your value should be the same, or what you paid should be the same, or go down just slightly. And well, I had that in my presentation.
It also, we're just one piece of the levy rate. So there's the school, there's the county, the community college, health, and all of those things that are also get added to that rate. So depending on what those entities have going on, projects, debt service, all of that, the rate your overall rate could go up. The piece that's the cities is going down slightly. But each year the state sets a percentage rate of what your property, of what we can assess the properties at, residential properties. So like Tim said last year, 46% of the value of your property was taxed. This year, it's a little bit higher. And
That's correct.
yeah,
So,
what is it this year?
Based on $100,000 valuation, well, the tax proportion went up to 47% of the property. Last year was 46%. On a $100,000 home, the increase would go up $13.
If the house increased.
If
Oh, no, because of the rollback.
because of the rollback change.
But that doesn't have anything to do with this.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
because it's overall how much you get, how much your houses or property is
Right.
worth. They take that, divide it by 1,000, and then take it times the levy rate to determine how much. So last year we only taxed on 46%. The state makes it as confusing as possible.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, so if you had $100,000 house last year, you're taxed on 46,000 of it, roughly,
Yep,
right?
roughly.
This year,
Is on 47%.
47,000 is what you're gonna be taxed on, because if your $100,000 house stayed the same value. Last year you got taxed on 46,000 of it. This year with the rollback, it's being taxed at $47,000.
So the taxes will go up.
Yes.
13,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're taxing more.
because the state set that rollback at 40.
So in the last 5 years, the assessments in Delaware County have gone up. Mine have tripled.
Oh, mine too.
So,
5 years ago, fiscal year 21-22, $100,000 home was taxed at 56%. That was the rollback at that time was 56% based on $15.57, which was close to what our tax rate was last year, $15.55. The property owner paid $878.72. Last year on a $100,000 home with a rollback at 46.3%. And our levy rate was $15.55, so we're 2 cents off the levy rate from 4 years ago. Property owner paid taxes of $720. So we're still less than what we were 5 years ago.
Can I say something? Are you asking about the assessment of your house or are you
No,
asking
I
about
know
the
what it
taxes?
says.
Yes.
I'm talking
Okay.
about the taxes, because my taxes went up, they did not go down.
Yeah, nobody's ever go down because of
Right.
what they do.
He
with the-
just said
But no,
that they-
well, he's saying is our tax, our levy amount that we did is less than what it was last year. We're doing a less on the levy than what we did last year, correct?
Our levy rate is
Per
It's
thousand,
increased.
so.
Right.
Last year, we were 15.51 per thousand of value. This year, we're gonna be 15.45 per $1,000 of value after the rollback.
Okay, then why does this say, I'm just gonna ask this as a general question.
Yeah.
I cannot be the only person who thinks this when we get these damn things in the mail.
Yep.
Why does it say on there that we are gonna pay more money? And that the school, and then gives all these reasons why the school needs more money, the city needs more money, the county needs more money.
Mhm. Well, one, that letter is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth what it's printed on. It's
Right.
how the state has required us to present the information. And what they were proposing, that letter said, well, if you get $100,000 house this year, next year it's 110,000 because they were projecting what the increase is.
Right.
Even though that is what happens. And it doesn't really tell a true picture of what individual houses are. So what your house is valued at, what you have had going on from the previous year, or if the valuation didn't increase because this was not an assessment year, it didn't change. So it just does not give an accurate information, and then that's what's confusing to everybody else. And of course, it's always based on, we base it on $100,000, try to make the math easy.
Yeah.
And then they have this rollback, which the state is looking at eliminating, but I'm not gonna tell you how that's going to work, because I'm not sure how it's gonna work yet. What we do is we show you what the variables we have to work with. If your house is $100,000, based on what the state told us the rollback is, this was the taxable value of what the home is. From that, this is what our levy rate is, and that's what you multiply it by, and divide it by 1,000.
So the new letters that you just won't go into effect until next year for your taxes, so the current valuation, it's always a year behind. So,
18 months.
yeah. Yeah, so it's,
As easy as that.
Yeah.
try trying to figure it out every year.
Yeah. So that's why I never come, but I wanted to come this year.
No,
because
and
the tax-
I have,
Yeah.
I have a lot more, some information too, if you wanna sit down and go through it even more, I'm happy to do that anytime
No, I,
for anybody. Cause it is, I've been working in it, my degree, all of that, and it's still confusing after 20 some years when they make all these changes. So, to just the layperson who gets the letter in the mail, trying to interpret that, I just don't think it accomplishes what the legislature wanted it to accomplish.
not even a little bit.
No.
Okay.
So I'd be happy anytime to visit with anyone.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
I
didn't
got
get your
it.
name. Yeah.
I got it.
She knows, yeah.
Sarah Craft, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? It's still open for public comment.
We've got 15 minutes, so ask any questions you have.
If you do get on to our website, the city website, board docs is the meeting. I do have my presentation put up on there, posted, so that you can go through and see what we have projected for capital projects, what departments are doing, what the levy rate does, and it does have a history of what the levy rate was, what that impact was to property taxes, and how that somewhat works. And I'll be honest, the PowerPoint presentation without additional background information, it's just, you can glean from it what you can, but if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Increase, Diane, staffing costs continue to rise just with benefits and insurance and all of that. Also our property and our work comp insurance have seen significant increases, just like all of us at our homes and all of that. We've seen significant increases in the last few years. And then, you know, electric bills and all of that operational costs have.
Is there a budget amount that they're trying to collect through this levy?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, we set a full budget, and so each department head has gone through several meetings, as has the council, identifying that, there's really, we tell the department heads each year, basically, you know, stay within what you had last year, you know, minus salaries and that, because that can be a little bit variable depending on where we're at as far as staffing levels and health insurance costs, and then we go through after that, and we kind of have to decide what our needs and what our wants, and, you know, some things we have to push back a year, because other things have arisen, so.
Is that detailed out on your website?
I don't have the final sheets, but I can give them to you once I have them all done. Sure.
So what do they do with all the businesses?
Can you please come to the podium?
Just
and
for the
talk-
cameras.
Just for the cameras, because we have everything here. We'd like it if people would come to the, I'm sorry to make, yeah, I know she got by with that, but yeah.
So with all of our property taxes that have been going up astronomically in the last 5 years, what do they do with all that money?
Oh,
Do they have
we're
to keep asking for more?
we continue to pay for public services, public safety. Public safety is a big portion of our budget, whether it's fire and police. We have culture and recreation, which is libraries, parks, aquatic center, all those operations. cost a lot of money.
Well, I get that, but we're paying property taxes on exorbitant inflated property values, so this
Well, and that's where the
generating lower revenue.
yeah, and that's where that rollback came into play, because again, as I talked a little bit about
Right,
years
it
past.
did, but not enough.
That was the state's way of trying to kind of level things.
But it didn't, we all paid.
No, because of how much they put in for the, like the letters we just got from the assessor, that's really comes down from the state. They're required to do a certain amount.
Right, I get that.
So the state isn't even making up for what they're requiring the assessors to do with the rollback. Because they're requiring the assessors to assess it higher, but they're not adjusting that rollback.
Under state law, the assessor has to be within 5% of
Right,
that.
I'm not saying that, I'm not blaming anybody for the assessments, I'm just asking, you're getting more tax revenue because of the assessments.
Yeah.
Why aren't we using that money?
Well, this year, what was it, 12,000 more we were getting?
Well, it's 56,000, but if we remove what the state is taking away from us in the backfill, it's about $30,000.
And that's, you know, a
You-
3%
you-
raise on staff and our increase in insurance costs. Fuel costs have been crazy. That 30,000 is eaten up so fast.
What percentage does the city get off of that? Cause I know we split it 3 ways, the school, the county and the city.
The city is about 40% of the total tax bill. School and the county are another 30-some percent each, so there's your 100%.
Any other questions? Replace the fit, okay. Keep it open for 5:15.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're required to stay here till 5:15 at least, so.
You could say, just to make sure people have time to get in and get their questions asked. But if you do have additional questions and don't want to ask them with all the people, you're feel free to come down any.
And this is the maximum it can be, correct?
that's correct.
So we can come in under. That's our goal every year, is to come in under budget. Okay, hearing no more comments, it's 5:15 and I'm going to close the public hearing. And I just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody, for coming.